out against the state governments. Now, all of these will now get some sort of a relief. At the moment, what the court has said, and I'm just going to quote what the bench has said in its order. If you can just give me 2 seconds. They've said, we hope that center and state will desist from registering any FIR under Section 124A or initiating any proceedings against the same till the re-examination exercise is over. If such cases are registered, parties can approach the court and the courts are to expeditiously dispose of the same with regard to this order. The court has also said it would be appropriate to put this particular provision in abeyance for now till the examination exercise is over, and we hope and expect that the center and states will refrain from registering any FIR, continuing any investigation or taking any coercive steps under Section 124A IPC while it is being reconsidered by the central government. The court has also said that the center is free to issue the directions as it had suggested, that they should even remember, because in the beginning of the hearing, the Solicitor General had suggested practice directions that no FIR or proceeding will be conducted without the approval.
Yeah, you know, since you understand the law so well, if you could just also walk our viewers through how the popular narrative in this country today, sedition is being taken as an anti-national act, but in the law, the sedition is actually an anti-government act. Is that correct? It is not really a crime against a country or a nation.
Well, see, if you look at the history of the sedition law and how it actually came down, sedition was basically any act or speech which would effectively create disaffection against the government. Now, in various judgments over the years, it has been said that you cannot impose sedition provision unless there is an actual incitement to violence with after whatever speech or action or the movement is there. So simply criticism of the government is not sedition. It has to be a call to armed insurrection or some sort of violent act against the government, against the duly elected government. Now, that is where this entire question comes in, because we've seen so many cases where offensive sedition is imposed if there is criticism of a government policy, if there is criticism of certain acts of the government, or if, in fact, there have been cases where sedition has been imposed against journalists for reporting on something, or against lawyers and activists for what they call fact-finding reports. If there has been an act of violence, sedition, this is one of the more contentious issues that had come up. One of the petitioners in this case itself, one of the petitioners is Kishore Chandra Vamkhemcha, who's a Manipur-based journalist and activist who was slapped with a sedition case after he had criticized certain policies of the state government. There are a lot of things that have been used, a lot of issues that have come up as far as the misuse of sedition law is concerned, as far as the use of sedition law to punish various activities is concerned.
And there has been, since to talk about the misuse as well, sometimes there is a misuse by the government as well, because you never know whether they're doing it because they fear violence or whether they're doing it to discipline an opposite viewpoint. And this is not just one government, it's governments across the board, whether it is the state governments or the central government. Isn't it?
Well, yes, we've seen this kind of cases coming in, that the government is misusing these, this offense. We've seen, in fact, the court has also said this very specifically, that there has been massive misuse of this particular provision. A lot of times, as I was saying earlier, the persons who've been reporting on some sort of violence, or persons who've been criticizing the government for various policies or some action, have been slapped with a sedition charge and placed in jail. So there is a very serious concern being raised regarding misuse, and this is something that the court has taken note of, because even the Attorney General in his submission before the court had said that yes, there is misuse of this particular provision. Therefore, the AG has in fact suggested that there should be some sort of guidelines or protections as far as the implementation of the sedition law is concerned. Even the centre in its arguments today has very clearly said that yes, there could be some sort of directions given that you cannot register an FIR for sedition unless a senior officer conducts a preliminary inquiry, unless the senior officer says that yes, there is a valid reason to file a sedition charge, which under the judgments of the court means that you can that there has to be a certification from a senior officer that whatever activity or speech that was conducted has actually led to some sort of violence or violent act against the government of the state or the government of India. Now, in most of the cases that we've seen in the last few weeks or months, the speeches criticizing the government, the speeches at various protest sites, reports by journalists, reports by activists, etc., have also been slapped with sedition charges. So this is going to be very, very crucial to see how this is going to play out. If the government is saying very clearly that we are reconsidering the sedition law because there is misuse, this is something that the affidavit had said, that even the government is cognizant of the fact that there has been misuse of this particular law. What step will now the government?
Absolutely. We've lost that connection right there to Anisha Mathur, who is getting us the latest details. But, you know, the fact that Anisha was explaining is that there are cases where it has been proven that sedition law has been time and again been misused in this country. And many critics have touted this to be a law from the colonial times as well. And at this point of time, this looks like an end game for sedition law in this country. And it's come in as a respite for many sedition cases. There have been many prominent sedition cases also in this country. It involves activists, as you already know. It involves some prominent journalists, as you already know. Perhaps this is a shot in the arm coming in for free press in this country too, with this observation that has been made by the Supreme Court today. But having said that, I just would like you to walk you through what this judgment really is all about. It says that keep all those cases which are currently going on in abeyance and stay all the trials under the sedition law and examine the sedition law first. So the centre will really have to examine the sedition law, and this also means that states and centre will now be refraining from registering any FIRs which are going to be invoking section 124A of the IPC. So you cannot register any FIRs under it, but the existing FIRs will not be quashed. And that's a very important technicality that was even explained by a lawyer who joined us on this broadcast earlier, and Anisha Mathur also explained it. The court has also urged the central government, the state governments to refrain from registering any FIRs invoking section 124A of the IPC. The petition, the court's observation does not seek to quash the FIR, but at the moment you cannot be registering FIRs that invokes the section 124A of the IPC. If we have Nabila with us, she'll take you through the rest of this broadcast in just about a bit. But that's the big story that we are tracking at the moment. Endgame sedition law. Supreme Court going on to say, keep all the cases in abeyance, stay all trials until sedition law, examine sedition law first. That's the big story that we're bringing to you. Let's get you some reactions that are coming in from prominent journalists, coming in from prominent activists, from political parties as well, because this is a defining observation made by the Supreme Court and a big game changer coming in really. Nabila is joining us, my colleague. She joins us from the studio for all the very latest and will walk you through the rest of the broadcast. Nabila, we do know that there have been so many prominent cases, whether it is popular journalists, some activists, very high-profile sedition cases also. And this gives them slight bit of a relief at the moment, and it's a landmark observation coming in from the Supreme Court, of course, putting the ball in the central government at the moment.
Right, Chaiti, this is surely a landmark observation, considering that sedition law, as the court has observed, many governments in the past, be it the central government, even the Maharashtra government, in the latest, where the Rana couple were slapped with sedition charges, it seems like now some kind of relief for those people who have been booked under sedition law. In fact, the Rana couple in the latest also appealed against this charge in court, But it seems like now the Supreme Court has observed that sedition law has been largely misused and that the central government now must review it and try and understand what provisions must be allowed under the sedition law and what must be reworked. Of course, this comes as a big relief to all those people who have been booked under the sedition law. Many journalists, like you said, have been booked. In fact, we're looking at the sedition law. So far, many cases have not been able to get bail. They've been seeking bail, but none of them so far have been able to obtain bail, considering the sedition law has been so harsh. But now it appears that the Supreme Court has decided that until the central government reviews the sedition law and comes out with a response, this law will be kept in abeyance. Those who have been already booked under sedition law can seek bail from court. In fact, they can approach court to seek bail, and that comes as a huge, huge relief for those who have been booked under sedition law. Now, we know that 3-judge bench comprising Chief Justice of India, N.V. Ramana, Justices Suryakant and Hima Kohli, have in fact said that petitioners have raised contention that if grant is adjourned, then how to protect the interests of people who are already booked under Section 124A. And on this petitioner's observation, it appears that the court has now decided that all those cases who have been booked under sedition law, they now can seek bail from court. It seems like a big relief for many, many of those people who have now been, who are arrested, who languish in prison under sedition charges. Now, let me quickly cut across to Sanjay Hegde, senior lawyer, joining us on the phone line. Mr. Hegde, thank you very much for your time. Here, it seems like the Supreme Court has observed that there's been large misuse of the sedition law. And it appears that the Supreme Court now says all those cases that have been booked under sedition law, many of those people now can seek bail, and also observing that this largely has been a problem. What exactly has the court observed today?
See, the court has effectively put the law in abeyance. As far as it has also requested both the center and the states and asked the center to give an advisory to the states that please don't have any fresh cases lodged under this section while the section itself is under review. As far as cases already lodged are concerned, if there are people in custody, it has said that they can approach the appropriate court for bail, and those bail applications will be heard reasonably expeditiously. So the effect of the court stay is keep the law on hold till Parliament takes an appropriate decision and a review of the matter.
Right. Mr. Hegde, we do know that there have been several journalists, several activists, several, now in the latest, the Rana couple, politicians as well, who've been slapped with sedition charges. And this, the court has observed that various governments, be it the centre or even the state government of Maharashtra, has possibly misused the sedition law. At this point, this law be kept in abeyance. Do you think this has come as a setback to many of those parties that have used sedition law to arm twist?
Absolutely. See, the delightfulness of the law was that it was so delightfully vague. Disaffection against the government by law established. So you may like a government, you may not like a government, you may say something for it, then there is no problem. But if you say something against it, or even if you say something which vaguely hints at disaffection, you could come within the ambit of the law, which had a very harsh and indefinite sentence. You could be sentenced up to life imprisonment. You must remember that the Congress government in Chhattisgarh actually got a conviction, that the government in Chhattisgarh, sorry, not the Congress government, but during the UPA era, the BJP government in Chhattisgarh got a life sentence confirmed for Dr. Binayak Sen, who had been helping several people in the tribal areas. So this law is overbroad, very vague, and it would have, given the nature of today's constitution, would have been struck down. But for the fact that there is an earlier judgment of the Supreme Court 60 years ago of a 5-judge bench, which said that the law can be held to be constitutional if some very strict guidelines were followed. Now, this guidelines procedure has not really worked in implementation. The court would have proceeded to take a call on whether the earlier judgment needed to be overruled by a larger bench, and then the law struck down. But in the meanwhile, the government has said that we are taking a relook. I would think that given the fact that there are many other sections of the IPC which can be applied to almost any set of circumstances, this is an extra law which serves no real purpose except being a convenient tool for tyranny. Maybe the government itself can just take a relook and say, we really don't need the law. Let us abolish it altogether.
Right. You know, Mr. Sanjay Hegde, thank you very much for joining us. But it seems like successive parties that have come into power so far have not been able to largely review the sedition law. The BJP government this time has agreed to review it. It seems like this has come as a major relief for many of them who've been booked under sedition charges. They can now seek bail. Let me cut across to Advocate Shamshad, a senior lawyer, joining us on the phone line. Mr. Shamshad, this does come as a massive relief to many of those journalists, activists who've largely, under various governments, been booked under sedition charges, have been languishing in prison, not been able to seek bail. How do you observe this judgment by court asking for a review of Section 124A within the next 3 months?
See, I feel this is a great relief for all those who have fought against this law. This was initially brought by the Britishers, as we all know. But the way all the governments, I am not saying this or that, but all the governments have abused this successively. And they never realized that this kind of abuse of law will certainly sometime attract the attention of the court to intervene. And this day has come today. Though it is a little late, in any democratic system, this kind of law has no place. But though it may be late, but certainly it is a welcome move.
Well, surely it's a welcome move, but does this come as a setback, Mr. Shamshad, to various governments? In the latest, we saw the Maharashtra government arm twisting the Rana couple, who are politicians, with the sedition charge. At a time like this, does it really teach a lesson to those political parties who are trying to misuse this law?
I think differently. See, these all, everybody who is in power now, they are ultimately citizens of this country. And this law is certainly not in consonance with the democratic principles of any civilized country. Those political persons who feel that they are, custodian of democratic principles to be followed in the country, and the citizens need protection in terms of constitutional spirit, then they should realize that this is not the law which should be used at all. And if they feel that this is setback, then I can't say that because I feel this law has place at all in a democratic system.
Right. A quick word, Mr. Shamshad, just for our viewers to break it down. What exactly is sedition law? And if you are booked under sedition charges, how heinous is this crime?
Sedition law is that if you have disaffection to the country and the nation, then certainly the government will act. Now, what is disaffection? That has no, definition with sufficient definitiveness. There is no sufficient definiteness in defining what is disaffection. So, if I am making certain statement against somebody who is in power or against some institution, or whose functioning may not be good according to the citizen, then the party in person, the party in power or person in power may take a subjective opinion to say that a statement of this person is disaffection, And that's why 124A should be invoked. That I have committed some crime by raising this statement against the nation, and the consequence of this is that you may be subjected to life imprisonment. So even a simple statement, which according to me may be my democratic right, may be my right in guaranteed by Constitution, but the person who feels my statement is not suited to him may brand the statement as disaffection, and I may be subjected to in court of law, and finally the process will go on and on and on, and I will remain in jail for many years. So that itself is very drastic process, and ultimately few of them reach at the final stage when the conviction and sentencing are also done. So that's the consequence of this.
You know, Mr. Shamshad, this sedition law that's been slapped against several activists, journalists, even politicians in the latest. It's almost become a fashion, a trend of sorts. Multiple parties, various state governments, the central government at large have used sedition law. Naysayers or critics may say only to suppress voice. While on one hand, the lines are so blurred, one can put out a message, say for example on Twitter, a message that they believe is freedom of speech, while the government of the day could look at it as bigotry. So this could be largely misinterpreted, and that, it seems, is what exactly the court has observed.
That's right. That's what every activist, every sufferer, every victim has been telling to the system, not only court but to any other organization or institution who is dealing with it. See, the apathy is that the Britishers who brought this law.
Yeah, they've abolished it. United Kingdom has abolished it. It's 150 years old law. Yeah,
and who were they? They were imperialists. They wanted to control the system, the country, the people here with very, very serious, extraordinary power, which had no place in a democratic system. And that time there was no democracy. So now the moment this transformation of the system took place from an imperialist power to a democratic system, that time itself it should have gone. But it remained because the people in power did not want to dispense with this power.
Yes.
And the reason may be, yes.
You know, it's interesting to know that this law was extensively used by the British in the pre-independence era. So we're looking at freedom fighters, several freedom movements that were quashed through this sedition law, including Mahatma Gandhi, Bal Gangadhar Tilak were among those prominent leaders who managed to go to jail under this law. So when we're looking at that tradition of this law, should it not have been revoked much earlier than now?
That's right. It should have gone immediately upon promulgation of Constitution of India in 1950, if you analyze it correctly. But for whatever reason, as I have mentioned earlier, it has remained on the book. But see, if it was on the book and it was not abused the way it has been over the period of time, probably the voice would not have come so much. But now, because the people who are there and feel that the statement of people are inconvenient to the establishment, so they start not only using it but rampantly abusing it, which can be reflected from the record. So this abuse has brought this attention of the court, and this is perfect at this time. Though certainly it is a little late, but welcome move.
Sure, absolutely. It is late, but a welcome move because, like you said, and it's shocking that one can go into life imprisonment if convicted under sedition law. Has there been convictions, though, Mr. Shamshad? How far have the government been able to prove that the person who has been arrested under sedition law is indeed guilty of that crime?
There are two parts of it. One part is, once the charges are slapped and the charge sheets are filed, the person is inside jail, And the process that we have, there is no accountability that that in how much time charge sheet will be filed, how long the trial will go on, how long the appellate courts can keep the matter pending to finally decide the matter. So that process itself sometime may go on for 10 years. And during that 10 years, if unfortunately he doesn't get bail, then his life imprisonment is served. Now, second aspect of this is that, see, finally how many convictions take place. Most of these charges ultimately ends up in acquittal. Many of them, majority of them.
But after years of struggle, and fight and money spent.
But the process itself is so cumbersome and
yes.
Difficult that the process itself becomes conviction here. So that is the problem. If you fix a guideline that, see, during in 6 months everything has to conclude, and if the charges fail, then the person who slapped these charges will face the consequence. Probably the abuse will come down. But we don't have that accountability in the system.
Right.
That's
but
the unfortunate part.
Mr. Shamshad, let's be very clear that this is not acquittal to any of those people who've been booked under sedition charges. This is only the law kept in abeyance. They can, of course, seek bail, but it's not acquittal. You agree?
See, right now, as I have heard from the reports, right now, no fresh charges can be, fresh case can be registered. But as far as those cases which are pending, the judges will take appropriate view on that, considering the fact that the Supreme Court has kept, for future, this provision under abeyance. So technically, yes, those cases which are registered or are pending has nothing much to do about today's order, but certainly it will have some impact on those matters also.
Right. Right, Mr. Shamshad, thank you very much for your time. India Today, of course, has brought this news first to you. Sedition law has now been kept in abeyance. Those who have been booked under sedition charges now can seek bail. It comes as a big relief as the Modi government has now decided to review this law, which is at least 150 years old. Successive governments failed to do so. It appears that this government showing some intent. We're going to continue tracking those developments. A short break for now.
Massive meltdown in Delhi's Shaheen Bagh.
A lot of push and shove by the angry locals here.
They are sitting before the bulldozer and the situation is quite tense.
Only channel from the bulldozer's path.
Unlike Jahangirpuri, I can tell you it's complete commotion in Shaheen Bagh.
The only structure that came down.
Bulldozer versus Shaheen Bagh. Uncompromising coverage only on India Today.
As Russia declared war on Ukraine, as the world was plunged again into crisis, with the only Indian team in the real war zone.
This is Mariupol. You hear a series. Hear this sound.
I will show you a quick, so to say, bombshell room tour.
I can smell the gunpowder in the air.
And without pause, India Today totally dominates viewership and smashes the competition when it's the world's biggest news story there's only one gold standard of journalism.
You are watching India Today.
The Ukraine war proved to be too deadly even for the world's deadliest sniper. Sniper Wali, who is the world's most feared shooter, who fought in Afghanistan and against ISIS in Syria, has left Ukraine within 2 months of joining. Wali is feared across the world for his abilities to nullify his rivals. He's known to deliver up to 40 kills per day, and his reputation precedes him as no one knows his real name. The Canadian sniper volunteered to fight for Ukraine when Zelensky called for volunteers to join forces against Russia in March this year. But the conditions in Ukraine caused Wali to almost lose his life. His last mission in Ukraine was in Donbass, where he had taken up a position near a trench where his unit was attacked by Russian tanks. Just then, 2 newly recruited Ukrainian conscripts in Wali's unit exposed themselves. They came out of their blankets, oblivious to the incoming Russian tanks. Wali's unit got spotted and a Russian tank fired at them with a shell erupting near them. The sound of the blast was deafening. Wali said it smelled of death. It was like a combination of charred flesh, sulfur, and chemicals. This incident made Wali ponder. He had to rethink his stay in Ukraine. He had dodged death too many times already, and he felt he could not push his luck any further. Over 16,000 foreign fighters volunteered to fight against Russia when Ukraine asked for help. But 2 months on, Wali has given a very poor assessment on the deployment of volunteer fighters in Ukraine. He has alleged that while soldiers from all over the world came to Ukraine's aid, the Ukrainian officers simply did not know what to do with them. Even finding a
All right, here's some big news coming in on bulldozers making its way to areas in Delhi. Delhi's Seelampur and Dwarka. Bulldozers land up carrying out an anti-encroachment drive. There you see bulldozers already in action, bringing down those illegal structures that have occupied that particular road. Seelampur and Dwarka. Visuals coming in from Seelampur. In fact, these visuals that you see on your screens here are from Dwarka in Delhi, where we're looking at bulldozers in action. The MCD had already sent out a message a week ago that there will be an anti-encroachment drive all the way from the 10th to the 14th of May this month. In fact, one knows that the MCD has been receiving a lot of criticism for carrying out anti-encroachment drives without giving out notices to those people, to those owners of these commercial shops, even homes for that matter, that have been built on encroached land. But here the MCD has constantly said that if it is an anti-encroachment drive, if the property is illegal and is encroached, then one does not need a notice. A notice need not be given. The MCD can very well carry out this demolition drive if it is on encroached land. This is an anti-encroachment drive where bulldozers we see in full action that arrive in Dwarka, Tilaknagar, Seelampur. These are areas that will now be in the spotlight for the MCD to carry out huge demolition drives. Now, we so far have not seen any opposition coming in from the locals there, like we saw in Shaheen Bagh. Many of the people, of course, concerned if their shop or home will be touched. These are areas that the MCD has been looking into. Seelampur, Dwarka, Tilaknagar, these areas today will be the top focus for the MCD to carry out large-scale anti-encroachment drives. Well, the MCD clarifies that this is not a demolition drive, it's an anti-encroachment drive. These areas that are being demolished are stepping over into encroached, stepping over to the road. It's encroaching the space which does not belong to those owners, and therefore, considering it's illegal, these shops, those shanties, whatever that is built on illegal land, on land that is of course illegal, that will be razed down. And we see that these bulldozers have already set in action. They're right now bulldozers in Tilak Nagar that you see on the right hand side of your screens. On the left hand side you see visuals coming in from Dwarka. This is another round of an anti-encroachment drive that's being carried out by the MCD. Like we did mention, the MCD has been receiving a lot of flack on not being able to maneuver through areas and of course not giving out notices, not informing the locals there before carrying out this anti-encroachment drive, etc. But the MCD has been stern that if anything has been built illegally, then they do not, or they're not required to give out a notice. They can land up and carry out a demolition drive, considering the law gives them that provision to crack down on illegal construction. This is the bulldozers that have been unleashed by the MCD in areas like Dwarka and Tilak Nagar in Delhi, right after we saw bulldozers almost pulling down several shops in Jahangirpuri, which was the area that had large-scale communal clashes right after Hanuman Jayanti, and then followed by Shaheen Bagh that came under scanner with bulldozers reaching Shaheen Bagh and trying to pull down those illegal structures. But not much was accomplished in Shaheen Bagh as locals protested there vehemently, almost saying with conviction that there was nothing illegal, and if there was, then the MCD should prove it to them. The bulldozers moved away from Shaheen Bagh, pulled back, and now they've arrived a day later at Dwarka and Tilak Nagar. And it seems like the MCD this time seem quite prepared. They've already swung into action, pulling down those illegal structures that have been in place possibly for decades. Doesn't matter for the MCD whether this was 1 year old or 50 years old. If it's illegal, it's got to be brought down. The MCD on full swing, carrying out demolition drive and anti-encroachment drive in areas of Dwarka, Tilak Nagar and Seelampur. Remember, just yesterday, some parts of New Friends Colony also saw bulldozers raising down illegal structures. Today, we're looking at the same bulldozers reaching the doors of Dwarka, Tilak Nagar and Seelampur. These are visuals coming in from these areas where bulldozers are now in full action, bringing down those illegal shanties, those thatched roofs that are attached towards many of those commercial establishments, those shops. Even if the roof is extending out of line, even if a proper shanty, a makeshift shanty is extending beyond what is legal, will be pulled down. Nothing will be spared as per the MCD. Anything illegal will be brought down. Those tin roofs, many of them we see have already been brought down by those bulldozers that are in action right this moment. Many of those tin roofs, those metal sheets that are extending towards the road, which really surpasses the legal area, that too is not being spared. That too is being pulled down, and that's what we see here in front of the shops. Many of those tin roofs have been brought down. Any footpath that's also been that's been erected on the road, which is again surpassing the legally owned area, will also be broken down. And that's exactly what we're seeing here in Tilak Nagar, as we see the bulldozers breaking down those tin roofs and those footpaths that have been built by those shop owners to make a walkway. It appears those footpaths too being dug into and brought down. Here you're looking at illegal shanties in Dwarka, where many of those thatched, almost shops that are makeshift, that are being made by literally those tin sheets that are being now raised down by the bulldozers. Dwarka, Tilak Nagar, Seelampur, these are areas that the MCD is now focusing with their anti-encroachment drive. All right, we have some big breaking news coming in. Jacqueline Fernandez has now moved an application in Delhi court seeking permission to travel abroad for 15 days for IFA Awards in Abu Dhabi. She also needs to travel to Abu Dhabi, France and Nepal, and therefore has sought permission. Remember, this comes in the backdrop of a restriction for travel that has been imposed by the Enforcement Directorate. Jacqueline Fernandez is, of course, right now the lens on her for in fact being named in this scandal. Here you have Sukesh Chandrasekhar, a man that she very closely knew. Considering that he is now in prison, it seems like the spotlight is on Jacqueline, on how much she knew of this con scandal and what did she gain from it, whether she knew about this man being a con artist and that he was extorting money extensively, and how involved was she in this racket. Of course, the ED investigating the matter, and in the meanwhile have also imposed a travel ban on Jacqueline, while she now takes to court. She's appealed in a Delhi court asking for a 15-day exemption to travel abroad, as she wants to be traveling to Abu Dhabi for the IFA Awards and also has plans to travel to France and Nepal. This is a request Jacqueline has made as she moves court to travel abroad. Let me cut across to Munish Pandey joining us live from Delhi. Munish, Jacqueline, of course, has been embroiled in this this controversy to such a point where we see the ED has imposed a travel ban on her. Now she's approached court asking for a 15-day exemption. Give us a sense on how much will the court entertain this appeal at this point, because we're looking at crores of rupees that Sukesh Chandrasekhar, her very close friend, has swindled.
Even Nabila, last year in the month of December, Jacqueline Fernandez was traveling outside country when she was stopped by the immigration authorities, and it was learned that there is a lookout notice against Jacqueline Fernandez because of her involvement in the extortion case was 215 crore rupees. Now, what ED said that at that point of time, Jacqueline was a suspect in the case, and that is why there was a lookout notice, because she is a Sri Lanka-born actor. Also, she is someone who flies to outside India very frequently, and that is why this lookout notice was imposed. It is still imposed. Now, Jacqueline Fernandez has requested and has filed an application before a Delhi court asking for a 15-day exemption. She wants to attend the IFA award, and all these exemption is on the grounds of professional work. That is what we have been told. And she also wants to travel to France and Nepal. Now, it is expected that the court will hear the matter. They will ask for a reply from Enforcement Directorate, which recently attached properties worth more than 7.27 crore of Jacqueline Fernandez. And after the ED's reply, the court may or may not give permission to Jacqueline Fernandez to travel outside country.
Well, Manish, you're saying the court may or may not give, but what's the likelihood of Jacqueline being granted this exemption, considering that she is a top Bollywood actor? She, like you said, is required to travel abroad time and again. This time it's for an award ceremony, but otherwise you have a lot of the Bollywood films that are being shot abroad. This will mean restricting her career entirely. If at all this comes as if it is denied, then this will be a huge setback for an actor of her caliber.
Well, Nabila, there is no doubt that her professional career is suffering due to this case. There are many producers and directors in Bollywood who are keeping a close eye on what is happening in the case. But still, in this case, Jacqueline Fernandez has not been named as an accused in the case. And the amount of gift which was given by Sukesh Chandrasekhar, almost that amount has been seized by the Enforcement Directorate. It means that she is not an accused in the case. Second, the amount has been recovered from her. So ED may tell the court that she can be allowed travel outside to travel outside country, but only after certain conditions. It means that they will need her property details, they will need her passport details, and she will have to give some
Munish, thank you very much, Munish. We have some breaking news coming in. Please stay with us. All right, cutting across to Tejendra Bagga, holding a press conference attacking Arvind Kejriwal. Let's take a listen.
bagga ji, आप कह रहे हैं कि अरविंद केजरीवाल सत्ता का दुरुपयोग कर रहे हैं। वहीं आम आदमी पार्टी के राज्यसभा सांसद संजय सिंह को कह रहे हैं कि बीजेपी पुलिस का दुरुपयोग करने वाली सबसे बड़ी पार्टी है।
देखिए, जो व्यक्ति टिकट ब्लैक करता हो, मुझे लगता है उसके सवालों का जवाब नहीं देना चाहिए।
तेजिंदर जी, जैसे कि सुरेश वर्मा जी ने कहा कि आपको जिस तरह पंजाब पुलिस ने उठाया था उसमें एक गाड़ी ऐसी भी थी जो कि चोरी की है, आपने ये जिक्र किया। तो ये चोरी की गाड़ी का इनपुट आपको कहाँ से ये जो मिला है इसको, और क्या योजना थी कि चोरी की गाड़ी का इस्तेमाल जो है वो बग्गा जी को उठाने के लिए किया?
हम आपको वो गाड़ी का नंबर दे देंगे और वो किसकी गाड़ी थी,
दोबारा बोल,
किसकी गाड़ी थी और वो कहाँ से अपना, हमारे पास जो इनपुट है हम आपके साथ में शेयर करेंगे। थैंक यू दोस्तों, धन्यवाद।
Tejinder Bagga there, in fact, hitting out at Arvind Kejriwal. He has been in the spotlight. In fact, Tejinder Bagga, who just spoke a few moments ago, we're going to try and patch exactly what he said. He's lashing out at Arvind Kejriwal. Let's try and take a listen to what exactly Tejinder Bagga has to say. All right, you know, we're going to come back with what Tejinder Bagga had to say, but for now, we're going to slip into a short break. Stay with us on the other side.
When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism.
Now here's to another big news of the week here. Britney Spears and her fiancé Sam Asghari are all set to exchange vows. The couple shared the news on social media. Here's all about their impending wedding, the timeline of their relationship. Let's have a look.
I did it again. It's finally happening. We're more than just friends. Oh baby, it might seem like... That's right. Britney Spears and her fiancé Sam Asghari are all set to walk down the aisle and say I do to one another. Fitness expert turned actor took to social media to announce their wedding plan with this photo where Spears can be seen showing off the engagement ring with them kissing in the background. He captioned the story as our lives has been a real-life fairy tale. Happy Mother's Day to you, my soon-to-be queen. I'm dreaming. Sam further added, also the big day has been set, but nobody will know until the day after. Yes, even though he let the cat out of the bag about their highly anticipated wedding date finally being set, Asghari refrained himself from divulging details. Britney Spears, on the other hand, gave a glimpse of her wedding veil to share the news with her fans. The picture also featured her cat. She wrote, and we quote, "Introducing Wendy. It's meow time, boys and girls, and yes, this is the veil to my wedding dress." Interestingly, this photo of her veil comes days after Britney had a home visit by designer Donatella Versace. Spears shared these pictures of herself, fiancé Sam Asghari, and the designer at her home with a caption hinting at their impending wedding. According to reports, the pop star's family would not be in attendance at her wedding to Asghari. Moreover, it will be an intimate affair for the couple. Britney and Sam got engaged back in September 2021 and are currently expecting their first child together. This will be the third time the singer says "I do." She first got married to childhood friend Jason Alexander back in 2004, but the marriage was annulled within 55 hours. Britney soon after in the same year tied the knot with Kevin Federline. But her second marriage also ended in 2007 and the couple has 2 sons together. Britney now wants to give love another try with Sam. The duo has been dating since 2016 after they met each other on the set of her music video, Slumber Party, and Sam popped up the question. They are both smitten with each other and often drop photos and videos of one another. That's not all. The couple has shared over 5 years of sweet moments together while also weathering out all the difficulties that came with Spears' 14-year-long conservatorship, which finally ended in November 2021 after the judge suspended her father from his long-time role as a conservator of her estate. Britney, who is currently pregnant with the couple's first child together, is reportedly working with lawyer Matthew Rosengart. The one who oversaw her conservatorship case, to obtain a family law attorney. They will together work towards crafting her and Sam's prenuptial agreement. As far as her brand value is concerned, reports suggest that the pop icon has an estimate net worth of $60 million, and it is likely to only go up after the release of her autobiographical tell-all book later this year. Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
All right, coming up right on the other side of a short break, a big India Today exclusive, big revelation on the Gyanvapi mosque case. Mosque videographer speaks to India Today, revealing quite a lot. Stay with us.
A treatment for cancer using the body's defense mechanism, that's the principle of immunotherapy. Unlike conventional treatments like chemotherapy or radiotherapy, which target the tumor itself, immunotherapy stimulates the patient's immune response. Cancer cells neutralize the immune system's defenses, allowing cancerous cells to multiply in the body. There are many ways of waking and instructing the immune system to eliminate cancer cells. Immunotherapy uses various tools like vaccination, targeted antibody therapies in which proteins in the immune system are capable of recognizing undesirable cells and eliminating them, and immunomodulators, substances that stimulate the immune response. Another strategy uses cell therapy. A sample of white cells known as lymphocytes are taken from the patient before being genetically modified to enable them to recognize cancer cells. These super lymphocytes are then re-injected into the body to attack the cancer. Used today to treat blood cancer and inoperable or advanced stage cancers, these therapies have raised hopes for the treatment of other types of cancer. Immunotherapy only works for a minority of patients, however. It can also have serious side effects, such as autoimmune reactions by the body to healthy cells. Cost is also a factor. The bill can be as large as several hundreds of thousands of euros per patient.
When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism. When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism. When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism.
You are what?
The preferred choice of television audience in mega cities. India Today, #1 English news channel.
So sorry.
इस वक्त की सबसे बड़ी खबर आ रही है उत्तर प्रदेश से। यूपी में दंगाइयों की संपत्ति पर चल रहा है बाबा का बुलडोजर। इसी के साथ बुलडोजर बाबा का इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शन डेमोलिशन ड्राइव वायरल हो चुका है।
Supreme Court stays all cases and proceedings in the sedition cases, asks the centre states to not file fresh FIRs until this colonial era law is reviewed. India Today's language war newsbreak gets bigger. Superstar Mahesh Babu says Bollywood can't afford him and that he does not want to waste his time doing Hindi films. Communal tension in Rajasthan's Bhilwara. 22-year-old Hindu stabbed to death after clash between two groups. 3 detained. Internet services snapped. Protests erupt. Clear Pakistan Khalistani nexus behind Punjab grenade attack. Pakistan manufactured grenade used in the blast. NIA likely to take charge of this probe. Government sources hint at malign India toolkit by Pfizer Moderna, like global pharma lobby, say those denied entry into lucrative Indian vaccine market plotted WHO report to target India. Sri Lanka on the edge after days of violence and arson. Shoot on sight order to quell unrest. India Today reports from ground zero.
We're seeing youngsters of the state of Colombo raising slogans against the current government and demanding that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigns.
All right, here's some big breaking news that India Today has been tracking on the Gyanvapi mosque case. The mosque videographer speaks to India Today. The videographer says that he saw Lord Brahma's lotus flower, gongs and bells and rows of flowers on the mosque. The mosque wall had a lot of the Hindu religious signs adorning it. Remember, there has been a big showdown on court-appointed survey committee at the mosque complex, and in fact, the mosque committee also objected to any videography inside, though the survey was blocked over the weekend after Muslim side protested. But it appears the videographer has managed to make his way inside and claims that he saw rows of flowers on the mosque wall and saw quite a few symbols that linked to Hindu religious beliefs. This is a big revelation that we bring to you, an exclusive right here on India Today. Here are some of those revelations, looking at a lotus symbol that's seen inside that mosque. Apart from that, a few more symbols that shows some connection with the Hindu religion. This exactly has been the contention time and again, that the Gyanvapi mosque was built over a temple that was desecrated. This eons ago, in fact, years, decades ago, that this fight has been going on ever since the Babri Masjid demolition. This has come into spotlight, the Gyanvapi mosque, where Hindu groups have been demanding that there must be a thorough survey to see if there is Hindu religious gods and statues that are still within, that are laid right underneath that mosque. Let me cut across to Samarth, who joins us for more on that. Samarth, this is big revelation undoubtedly, because all eyes now on the Gyanvapi mosque, while the court has asked for a survey, to carry out a survey to see if at all there is any connection of any kind of Hindu religious symbols inside that mosque. Even till date, a survey was asked for. It was objected by the Muslim committee. In fact, videography was objected, but somehow some photographs have surfaced. How has that happened, and what does it reveal here?
See, at a time when the local court is hearing the entire case, be it tomorrow, be it yesterday, so these are things happening. But what has come to light is Vibhash Dubey, the videographer, has spoken exclusively to the India Today TV and said that he found many things, including a swastik mark, including the lotus, the symbol of Lord Brahma, including the snake, the symbol of Lord Vishnu, while some years old petals out there and a kind of a bell on the wall of the mosque. These are some serious revelations by the videographer who was inside the survey. He also was one of the eyewitnesses of the survey. He clearly said that survey took place for 1.5 days before it was stopped by more than 100 people.
Right, you know, Samarth, you did speak with the Gyanvapi videographer. We'd really like to know from him what he has to say on this. Let's cut across.
ज्ञानवापी परिसर में बने श्रृंगार गौरी स्थल को लेकर लगातार कोर्ट की तरफ से सुनवाई चल रही है। आखिर सर्वे के दिन क्या हुआ, अंदर वो क्या क्या चीजें थीं जो सर्वे टीम को दिखाई पड़ी, इस पर ज्यादा जानकारी देने के लिए हमारे साथ इस वक्त जो मौजूद हैं वो विभाष दुबे हैं। ये वही वीडियोग्राफर हैं जो उस दिन सर्वे के दौरान अंदर मौजूद थे जहां पर मस्जिद के अंदर जाने से रोका गया। विभाष, आपका बहुत स्वागत है। विभाष, सबसे पहले तो मुझे बताइए कि कहानी की शुरुआत कहाँ से होती है?
स्टार्टिंग में जब एंटर किए तो लगा कि यार सब कुछ अच्छा है, लेकिन कुछ देर बाद जब दोनों पक्ष, हिंदू पक्ष, मुस्लिम पक्ष के जो भी लोग थे, वादी प्रतिवादी, वो सब इकट्ठा होना शुरू किया तो थोड़ा सा माहौल जो है लगा कि घमाघमी का हो सकता है। गणेश शर्मा जो थे वो शिलापट पे जो चीजें बनी हुई थी, जो श्रृंखलाएं बनी हुई थी, जो माला की लड़ियां बनी हुई थी तोरण द्वार के, ऐसा महसूस होता था जैसे तोरण द्वार पे जो चीजें कटिंग बनी होती है वो सारी चीजें वहां दिख रही थी। इवन यही नहीं, जो शिलापट वहां रखे गए थे उसके नीचे वाले भाग में भी कुछ चीजें ऐसी समझ में आई कि वहां पे भी कुछ बना हुआ है।
शिलापट किसका, मस्जिद के एरिया में या श्रृंगार गौरी के?
श्रृंगार गौरी वाले एरिया में।
क्या दिखा आपको?
उसमें जब नीचे झांक के देख रहे हैं तो वहां पे भी कमल बने दिख रहे हैं, कमल बने हैं। बाकी सारे मतलब वो सारी चीजें दिख रही हैं जो एक हिंदू सभ्यता में यूज हो रहा है।
ब्रह्मा जी का
हाँ, जो चिन्ह दिखाई देते हैं, जो जनरली ज्यादातर हिंदू धर्म में इस्तेमाल किए जाते हैं।
क्या क्या देखा? कमल आपने देखा, उसके अलावा?
कमल देखा और फूलों की लड़ियां देखी, जो फूल ऐसे बने होते हैं, और ठीक सामने वाली दीवार पे अंदर की तरफ घंटा भी टंगा हुआ है। जो तराश के बनाया गया है, जो पूरी तरह से तराश के बनाया गया हुआ है, उसकी चैन दिख रही है, पूरी चैन लटक रही है, फिर नीचे घंटा बना हुआ दिख रहा है, फिर उसके बगल कलाकृतियां बनी हुई हैं जो ये महसूस होती हैं या जो लगती हैं कि हाँ हिंदू संस्कृति से जुड़ी हुई चीज।
घंटा किस तरफ, श्रृंगार कौली स्थल की तरफ है या मस्जिद की तरफ है?
मस्जिद की दीवार पे,
मतलब जहाँ पे
पश्चिम वाली दीवार पे,
जहाँ एंट्री है, जहाँ नहीं है?
नहीं, जहाँ एंट्री नहीं है। वो किसी शरारती तत्व द्वारा बनाया गया चीज नहीं दिखता है, ये तो साफ समझ में आता है। कोई कलाकार बनाया है ये दिखता है, उसमें कलाकारी दिखती है। ऐसा नहीं कि कोई गया और खुरेज के बना दिया तो आप मान लो कि नहीं, उसमें कलाकृति दिखती है।
All right, we heard the videographer, what he had to very clearly say, that he's seen a lot of symbols that's attached with the Hindu religion right behind the mosque area, which is now the bone of contention, or whether or not Hindus must be allowed to worship right behind the Gyanvapi mosque, where they believe has much Hindu significance. We also have a petitioner joining us from the Hindu side, Vishnu Shankar Jain. Mr. Jain, thank you very much for speaking to India Today. If you can give us an understanding on how would you interpret these images that has come out through the videographer? We know there was much resistance for videography inside the mosque because it is strictly against the law, is what the mosque committee said. But somehow we believe that the videographer has managed to get some photographs, and the photographs are quite telling.
Yes, it's absolutely correct. See, as the foundation of our argument lies on the basis, the foundation of this argument is that no new structure has been constructed to make this mosque. There was already a pre-existing Hindu temple, and which has been converted, which has been given a shape of the present disputed structure. No new structure has been created. And to buttress that argument, to prove that point, we can find the goddess Ma Shringar Gauri on the western side of the disputed structure. We can find Lord Ganesh on the western side of the disputed structure, and the entire western wall of the disputed structure is the wall on which the present tomb is standing. So all these arguments will be advanced further. But prima facie, what survey we have done of all the surroundings of the mosque, it shows clinchingly that no new structure has been created, and on a pre-existing structure, a shape of a mosque has been given. So that is very clinching, and that's why these evidences of the photographers and the testimony of the photographers which you have just shown on your channel, I think that buttresses that argument that there is no new structure and there was already a pre-existing structure. And one more important point I want to make here. If anyone will notice, the plinth of that disputed structure, the plinth of that disputed structure is of a Hindu nature. That kind of plinth, that kind of architecture has been made, and therefore no new, when Aurangzeb had demolished, and therefore all these things corroborate with the historical evidences which were placed on record. Then when Aurangzeb demolished this present structure in 1669, then also Hindus continued worship there, and in 1990, in the basement, lower basement of the so-called mosque, the Hindus were worshipping. It is only in 1990 that the district magistrate, the district administration had sealed that room and taken the keys in its control. So I asked a question to myself that which mosque is this that in the lower basement of the mosque Hindus are worshipping, and on the first floor of the mosque namaz is going on. So clearly all these arguments I'm making here to prove the point that Places of Worship Act is not attracted, and the word religious character which is used in section 4 subclause 2 of the Places of Worship Act is that it proves to the hilt that this place has a religious character of a Hindu temple.
Well, it clearly is visible, at least from the photographs. It seems like there are several symbols that are attached to the Hindu religion, and that's quite visible in those images that the videographer has taken. What is your demand, Mr. Vishnu Shankar? Because we know at the end of it, this is a sensitive issue, and like you did say, even if it does not attract the Places of Worship Act of 1991, there are, at the end of it, this mosque itself was, or whether it was built over a temple or not, but this was much before independence. And as per the Places of Worship Act 1991, any religious structure post-independence will remain the same.
See, you are absolutely right that this is a very sensitive issue. And therefore, on your channel, with lot of sense of responsibility, I want to make a very small point. That please, I request all of you, that play the evidences which have come on record in the case of Deen Muhammad in 1936, much before the Attraction of Places of Worship Act. In Deen Muhammad case, the British government has filed an affidavit that this is not a mosque, this is not a waqf, and Aurangzeb had demolished the Hindu temple. In that case of Deen Muhammad, 15 evidences have come on record to show that all these idols were worshipped in the disputed structure. So, and Deen Muhammad lost in the High Court in 1942. So all these things have happened before the Attraction of Places of Worship Act and before the cut-off date also of Places of Worship Act. So all these things are the clinching records which we have put before the court, and therefore the survey has been ordered to ascertain the facts. And one more important development has happened. Yesterday, since the Muslims have raised the issue of biasness of the Advocate Commissioner, they have proposed to the Honorable Court that the Honorable Judge may himself visit the site in question. And I am hopeful, and I will also agree to that request that if it so happens, let the court themselves visit the site in question. And it is not a novel thing in Indian history. In 1885 also, in Ram Janmabhoomi case, the district judge had visited the site in question. So the question is, my demand is very small and simple and innocuous prayer that please open those sealed rooms. Please allow us to do videography of the area. We are not touching any part. We are not destroying any part. We just want to do videography of that area, and the Advocate Commissioner will submit his reports before the court. That's
the goal. What is
demand.
the goal in that case? If at all you're allowed, if at all videography is allowed, and you do find that there is much religious significance for Hindus in that mosque, what is the next step? What would be your next demand?
See, I'll just tell you, this is a civil suit we have filed, and the civil suit has to be decided on the basis of the evidences. And all the evidences which you are playing on your channel or which anyone else is playing, the court cannot take judicial notice of all those things. So this is an exercise by which the evidences which are there on record will become a record of the court. It will all become the part of the record of the court, and therefore after that issues will be framed, the suit will proceed further, everyone will be asked to put their objections forward, and court, after hearing all the sides, will pass an order. Whether court will pass an order in favor of the Hindus or in favor of the Muslims, court can take a view that no, Mr. Vishnu Shankar Jain is wrong. This place does not have the religious character of a Hindu temple. Or the court can take another view that whatever we are saying or claiming is correct position of law. So let us see. But right now is an exercise of collecting evidences and putting those evidences on the record of the court.
Right. You know, Mr. Vishnu, it's of course very interesting to see how this matter has really become so sensitive to a point where we're looking at BJP MLA, former MLA, Sangeet Som just yesterday on a public platform spoke about how Gyanvapi mosque will have the same conclusion or the same end like the Babri Masjid. This is the kind of, the kind of conversation that's brewing among some of the people within the party. How would you look at that? Would you want that?
Because if I would have wanted that, I would have never knocked the doors of the court or my organization or my people. We have knocked the doors of the court because we believe in rule of law. We believe that whatever has been done in the history on the point of sword must be rectified by the pen. Because we believe that pen is mightier than the sword. And therefore we don't believe in mobocracy. And when this mobocracy happened, when the survey team had gone, I had strongly objected, and if you would have seen or followed me continuously, I had not raised even a single demand from anyone to come there or give any support. I don't want any support from anyone. We are there before the court. We believe in the rule of law. We believe in the majesty of justice. We believe in the majesty of the court, and let courts do their job. Please do not allow any mobocracy or any political party to have an interference in this, because this is a judicial system. This is a judicial process which has to be completed.
You know, but how long has this fight been on, Mr. Vishnu? We'd like to get a sense on how long have you been appealing to court, asking for some leeway into worship within the mosque area, considering that there is Hindu symbolism there. How long has your fight been? And where are the stages that you had a setback?
See, this fight has started from 2020. But this fight for this present case, Mr. Rastogi has filed his petition in 1991. There were some lacunas in those petitions. Those lacunas we have fulfilled. We have tried to fill those lacunas in this petition. So our fight is ongoing. There's a history to all these things. We believe in the cause. We believe that our temples, our culture was destroyed, trampled and played upon, and therefore we believe in the cause.
I question these images that have come out. Now, has this come out in was this shot legally or was this in violation? Because we know that there wasn't permission yet to carry out videography inside. How would you look at that?
See, the videography has been directed under the orders of the court. Before that, there is no person who, because it comes within the red zone. So no one is allowed to take their camera or anything inside the red zone.
So Vishnu, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. All right, now massive relief to all the sedition cases. Those who've been accused under the sedition law. Supreme Court now stays all those cases and proceedings. The Supreme Court is ordered to keep all those cases currently in abeyance until review. The Supreme Court has stayed sedition trials until the law is re-examined by the centre. The centre has been asked to send an advisory to the states. The Supreme Court has now asked the centre to direct those states as well not to file fresh FIRs under this colonial era law until it's reviewed. The centre in their argument had said that gravity of pending cases not known. Maybe there is terror angle to those as well. In fact, Tushar Mehta, appearing for the centre, argued that the pending cases are before judicial forum and that we need to trust the courts. But nonetheless, the Supreme Court now has instructed that those sedition cases, all those people who are currently languishing in prison under sedition law, can now appeal for bail.
We have made our position very clear, and we also informed the Honourable Court about the intention of the Honourable Prime Minister. Beyond that, if anything else have happened, I don't know. We respect the court, we respect the independence of the court, but there are things which is called Lakshman Rekha. All the organs of the state must respect each other. Whatever we say, whatever we do, we have to ensure that we respect the provisions of the Constitution of India as well as all the existing laws.
We welcome wholeheartedly this valuable judgment of the Supreme Court. And we think it is the beginning of the end of this barbaric law in our statute book. This has damaged our human rights, our civil rights, and damaged the constitutional guarantee of freedom.
ये होल्ड पे रखना एक मुझे लगता है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अच्छा किया है, क्योंकि उन्होंने सेंटर ने एफिडेविट दिया था कि वो इसको रिविजिट करना चाहते हैं, तो सेंटर को अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल जाएगी कि वो बिल्कुल ओपन माइंड से इसको रिविजिट कर सकें.
It's obviously a positive development because this follows Narendra Modi ji's government having filed an affidavit before the Honorable Supreme Court, specifically saying that it wishes to examine or re-examine the issue around the sedition law. The government's approach is to make things easier for the citizen and better for the citizen of India. And the Honorable Supreme Court has accepted this point of view. We should wait for what the final analysis comes or the decision comes from the government. And obviously the Honorable Supreme Court will then take a final view on it.
All those accused would be therefore amenable for an immediate release on at least interim bail. That is what I understand. Till this 124 is resolved and the government comes back, whether they are taking it out of the statute book or not.
Strong criticism on the provisions of Section 124A, that is the sedition law, that it has been misused and misapplied either by the state government or by the central government. And in fact, the central government indirectly has suggested that they would like to bring certain changes in the said provision of law so that misuse can be avoided. And one change which the central government has suggested, that the prior permission of the Superintendent of Police is necessary for invoking the provisions of sedition, that is 124A.
The court has effectively put the law in abeyance. As far as it has also requested both the centre and the states and asked the centre to give an advisory to the states that please don't have any fresh cases lodged under this section while the section itself is under review. As far as cases already lodged are concerned, if there are people in custody, it has said that they can approach the appropriate court for bail, and those bail applications will be heard reasonably expeditiously. So the effect of the court stay is to keep the law on hold till Parliament takes an appropriate decision and a review of the matter.
Meanwhile, the Hanuman Chalisa face-off continues to dominate politics of Maharashtra. Now, the BMC is preparing to take action against the couple for violations in their car residence. The civic body has listed out 10 violations after inspecting their home. BMC has issued a show-cause notice to the lawmaker couple and asked them to file a reply within 7 days' time. The letter served to the Rana says that the couple would be prosecuted if at all they fail to provide sufficient cause. The Ranas have now alleged that the action being taken against them is due to political vendetta of the Uddhav Thackeray government. Remember, the BMC's inspection at the Ranas' residence took place when they had flown to Delhi to meet the Lok Sabha Speaker right after their bail.
So I'll tell you all the situation, whatever happened from lockup to jail. Because of complaints against them, here I have registered complaint, I have given complaint, but nobody has worked on that. And I know that I will not get justice from Maharashtra. I have to go and knock the door of central government.
What do you think about the sedition charges?
See, I am not going to talk about that particular subject because court has given me orders. On particular subject, you should not talk or you should not meet any press conference. So I am not going to talk about that. Once the sedition, whatever it is, it will go off, then we'll talk. But whatever happened after that, it is my rights and Samvidhan has given me that right, so I'm going to do on that.
All right, coming up right after a short break, we're looking at a clear Pakistan-Khalistani nexus behind Punjab grenade attack. More details up next.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com or call 9999892171.
watching.
Literally one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met in my life. Her stability, her level-headedness, her strength, her depth, her sensitivity, her empathy, her compassion, and her ability to, like you said, keep it real. In spite of the stature that she commands as a consummate movie star, actor, I really have a deep admiration for her because I see her public persona and then on the flip side I know her so intimately. She amazes me. She really never ceases to amaze me. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. Touch wood, my life is coming along. Career is on the right path. I feel my marriage was timed really nicely, and it's been a few years. So yeah, we're always talking about this life that we're sharing together, and yeah, we're always discussing and in conversation about how we want to mold our lives and lifestyles. So yeah, it's definitely in the conversation.
You are watching.
Here's some big breaking news coming in. Sensational CCTV images coming in of Mohali attack in Punjab, the grenade attack. Just moments when the RPG was fired at the police headquarters. Big developments in the Punjab grenade attack probe. This rocket launcher recovered. In fact, these are the CCTV visuals coming in that India Today has accessed, showing that grenade attack right at the Mohali police headquarters. Cops are currently searching for a white car that used to execute this blast. That you see a car there passing by, while just as it passes the police headquarters in Mohali, the attack takes place. The police now trying to track down that white car which was used to execute this blast. This is an exclusive CCTV footage that India Today has accessed that you see here of the attack in Mohali police headquarters. It was certainly a shock, thankfully none injured, but what we see here is nothing short of a terror strike, and we're looking at an increased connection or nexus between the Pakistan and Khalistani groups. Now, who exactly is behind this attack? That time will establish. The police now investigating if this is a terror attack at all. We're looking at increasing links of Pakistan and Khalistan, Khalistani and Pakistani links to this attack is as per sources. This footage here clearly showing how this grenade attack was carried out by a white car which passed right in front of the police headquarters when the blast took place. Manjeet Sehgal joining us live for more on that. Manjeet, we're looking at some CCTV footage that's quite incriminating, showing a white car passing by the Mohali police headquarters, and right when the car passes, we're seeing that blast taking off. What is the nature of this attack? And we hear that there is some Pakistan and Khalistan links to this.
Well, Navila, all we know is this, that the initial investigation has revealed that the RPG was made in Russia. It was RPG-22 and the RPG rocket launcher which was used to fire this grenade has also been recovered by the police. The investigation has also revealed that the RPG might have been sourced from Afghanistan via Pakistan, and it might have been airdropped at a Taran Taran village. Nishan Singh, the person who is resident of Bhikki area in Taran Taran, has been arrested in connection with this. Sources is involved in the RPG attack, was in touch with the Harvinder Singh Rinda, who is in Pakistan. Investigations have also revealed that Harvinder Singh Rinda has been hiring petty criminals to execute the terror plots. The 5 such incidents reported in the past have also revealed that Harvinder Singh Rinda has been hiring the gangsters and other criminals to execute these plots. So investigation is currently on. Nishan Singh has been arrested. And as far as the vehicle being shown in the CCTV footage is concerned, it's a white-colored Swift Desire car. It was seen by one of the police cops who was posted inside the Intelligence Bureau building. He had ordered a pizza. When the pizza delivery boy came, he had seen this.
All right, we're going to try and get back, Manjeet, on that. But this is really incriminating evidence while we're looking at a terror strike, nature of a terror strike right at the Mohali police headquarters in Punjab. It seems like the links now are connected to some Pakistani and Khalistani elements. Of course, that needs to be established. But for now, we're looking at a CCTV footage that India Today has accessed, showing very clearly how a white car passes by that particular police station, the police headquarters in Mohali, and just then the blast takes off. This is a grenade attack that was carried out by people in that car. Now, that car is being traced, it's being tracked down, and we're looking at this blast itself having links to some Khalistan and Pakistani elements. Of course, that needs to be established. Manjeet is bringing us more on that from Chandigarh. Manjeet, please go on. You were mentioning about how this blast took place. In fact, CCTV footage capturing how this car passing by has carried out that blast. Who are those people? Any understanding of their links?
Well, Nevila, the initial investigations have revealed that the blast took place at 7:45. One of the cops who was on the guard had ordered a pizza, and when the pizza delivery boy came, he had seen this white Swift Desire car in front of the Intelligence Bureau building. The moment he returned to his office, to his cabin, the blast took place. The pizza delivery boy had also witnessed the car which was parked. CCTV footage also shows a suspicious car moving in front of the Intelligence Bureau building. The investigations had further revealed that the car, which was used by at least 2 people who involved in the blast, moved in front of this building, and then towards their movement was also seen towards Ambala. They crossed a toll plaza also, and one of the suspects was also picked up from Ambala. We are talking about Nishan Singh, who has a criminal background. He lives a Bhikki village in Taran Taran. He has been arrested by the Faridkot police in connection with the Mohali blast. He is believed to have received the consignment of the RPG device. Police sources say that this device might have been sourced from Afghanistan and was delivered using the drones. It might have been airdropped. So investigations are currently on. Nishan Singh is being interrogated by the Mohali police. The Faridkot police is also assisting the Mohali police.
Right.
Nearly a dozen people have already been rounded up. They are also being questioned. The police claimed that they will soon solve this. And the person behind this attack could be Harvinder Singh Rinda, who has already masterminded nearly half a dozen incidents which were reported during the past in Punjab.
Right. All right. We're waiting for the investigation to complete on that. Thank you very much, Manjeet. In fact, we're looking at the Punjab Chief Minister, Bhagwant Mann, meanwhile, who said that the RPG attack in Mohali is indeed an attempt to spoil atmosphere within the state of Punjab. Securing the border state is a big test for Bhagwant Mann now under his new governance, who is under fire. He is, in fact, in the spotlight right now. In fact, allegations coming in by the BJP and the Congress that this is beyond him to contain. They're calling him an incapable chief minister. Let's take a look.
An explosion that shook the intelligence office of the Punjab police. And with it brought the state's Aam Aadmi Party government under heavy political fire. As investigators probed the RPG-propelled grenade hit that caused no human injury in Mohali, Punjab's ruling Aam Aadmi Party confronts opposition onslaught. Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann is already being blamed for subservience to his party leader Arvind Kejriwal, a charge he stoutly denies. The Mohali blast delivered fresh ammunition to Congress to target the Mann government.
जब से आम आदमी पार्टी की पंजाब में सरकार रही है, कत्ल के केसेस में वृद्धि, पटियाला में दंगे, तरन तारण में आरडीएक्स का मिलना और अब पुलिस के ही दफ्तर पे हमला हो जाना, ये बात दर्शाता है कि आम आदमी पार्टी केजरीवाल की जो पंजाब में सरकार है, पंजाब की सुरक्षा, अमन चैन के लिए हानिकारक है। अब माननीय भगवंत मान जी को जाग जाना चाहिए, उन्हें याद रखना चाहिए वो पंजाब के मुख्यमंत्री हैं, केवल केजरीवाल के प्रचार मंत्री नहीं हैं। देश के गृह मंत्री श्री अमित शाह जी से दरखास्त करूंगा कि सेंट्रल जांच एजेंसियों को जिम्मेदारी दी जाए मोहाली मामले की तह तक जाने के लिए, उसकी जांच करने के लिए।
The BJP took a tongue-in-cheek stance on Bhagwant Mann and Arvind Kejriwal.
ये कह देना कि ये माइनर है, भाई रॉकेट प्रोपेलर से एक ग्रेनेड फेंका जाता है, यार इसको माइनर अटैक और मेजर अटैक आप इसको कैसे कहेंगे? इससे बड़ा तो मुझे नहीं सकता कि अटैक हो सकता हो, और पंजाब में कभी हुआ भी नहीं इस तरह का। हम भगवंत मान जी के सपोर्ट में हैं, हम चाहते हैं कि वो इस लड़ाई को लड़ें, लेकिन वो केजरीवाल जी को छोड़ें। केजरीवाल जी की डिफरेंट प्रायोरिटीज़ हैं। केजरीवाल जी की प्रायोरिटी पंजाब की नहीं है, केजरीवाल जी की प्रायोरिटी सिख नहीं है।
Akali Chief Sukhbir Singh Badal warned the Aam Aadmi Party government not to use the Mohali explosion as a pretext to start witch hunt of Sikh youth. The ruling Aam Aadmi Party has fielded its own army in defence. The Chief Minister guaranteed swift action and prosecution.
कल रात जो मोहाली ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਘਟਨਾ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ, ਮੈਂ ਡੀਜੀਪੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਰੇ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਅਫਸਰਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਲਈ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਸਾਰਾ ਡਿਟੇਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਨਿਕਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਗ੍ਰਿਫਤਾਰੀਆਂ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਵੀ ਗਈਆਂ, ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਗੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਜੜਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਜਾਣਗੇ। ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਇਹੀ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਵੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦਾ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਖਰਾਬ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਹ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਊਗਾ, ਸਖਤ ਤੋਂ ਸਖਤ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਮਿਲੂਗੀ।
His party brass called the Mohali explosion an attempt to incite hatred in Punjab.
पंजाब में मोहाली ब्लास्ट नफरत फैलाने की और डर फैलाने की एक कोशिश है। आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार, भगवंत मान जी की सरकार पंजाब का अमन चैन कायम करने के लिए पूरी तरीके से प्रतिबद्ध है, और जो भी पंजाब का अमन चैन और शांति बिगाड़ने की कोशिश करेगा, शांति भंग करने की कोशिश करेगा, उसकी जगह जेल के सीचों के पीछे है।
Less than 2 months in office, the Aam Aadmi Party's first government in Punjab takes another test by fire over the Mohali blast after the Patiala clashes late last month. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, coming up on the other side of a short break, miscreants allegedly hoist a saffron flag atop a mosque in Karnataka's Belagavi. More details coming up next. Stay with us.
एक टाइम पे एक चीज़ लोग नोटिस करते हैं, नोटिस कर रहे हैं, अप्रिशिएट कर रहे हैं, अच्छी बात है, इसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या है? Good content is traveling. Last 2.5 years on OTT, we all sat at home. And when you ran out of content that you thought you'd like, you started experimenting with content. And then you realized, oh, there's more stuff that I like, And it's opening up the horizons, it's widening. That's art, dude. It can break mindsets because it's talking about life and it's representing humanity. And we all share that, During COVID, we never realized. We all keep saying, मैं ये हूँ, मैं वो हूँ, मैं अलग हूँ, वो अलग है. We all breathe the same air. Right. What comes out of you goes inside me. What comes out of me goes inside her. And we all share the same air. So we are meant to coexist. Right. I think we all have issues in our head not wanting to accept and acknowledge that. We are meant to coexist. And art is meant to, do that and remind us of the fact that, we're all the same.
You are...
All right, we have some big breaking news coming in from Karnataka. Some miscreants have allegedly hoisted a saffron flag atop a mosque in Belagavi district on Tuesday. The incident has come to light in the wee hours of Wednesday. Leaders from the Muslim community have urged the police to nab the miscreants and take suitable action. Cops have now registered an FIR after this shocking incident. Now remember, we're looking at Karnataka heavily polarized in the last few months. We're looking at a series of clashes. In fact, this comes in the wake of elections coming so close, barely 11 months, and we're seeing heightened polarization and communal clashes in the state of Karnataka. And now adding to that is this saffron flag being hoisted on a mosque. Miscreants who've done it. The Muslim community there in Belagavi, the association of the mosque particularly, have asked the police now to nab the culprits and take quick action. Karthik joining us live from Bengaluru for more on that. Karthik, what we see here is certainly disturbing considering that this comes in the wake of very sensitive times, communal clashes in different parts of Karnataka right ahead of elections. Who's done this and what action has the police taken?
Nabila, the Kataprabha police have registered an FIR regarding this incident and the search is on to arrest the miscreants. The police yet haven't revealed the names of the miscreants or the suspects currently, but Muslim leaders have approached the police and have urged the police to arrest the miscreants at the earliest. Now, very recently we saw what happened in Hooghly after the stone pelting incident. There was, a tense environment that prevailed in Hooghly. Now, following this, in the adjoining district, Belagavi, this incident have taken place. The saffron flag is said to have been hoisted at the wee hours of Wednesday, and after the incident came to light, the leaders in the area have approached the police and have also removed the saffron flag. This incident definitely casting a dim light as far as the situation in Karnataka is concerned. Very recently we've seen some disturbing incidents, and the police have said that they will take stringent action at the earliest.
Right, Karthik, thank you very much for joining us with those details. Now, the civil unrest in Sri Lanka has escalated to unprecedented levels over the last few days as protests against the country's government over the economic crisis continues. Mahinda Rajapaksa, who resigned as the Sri Lankan Prime Minister on Monday, is now facing calls for arrest for inciting violence that claimed at least 8 lives. According to reports, Sri Lankan forces have been ordered to shoot all those who plunder public property or cause personal harm. The nationwide protests against the government have intensified over the last few days, resulting in an increase of incidents of clashes with security forces. Homes of several sitting and former ministers, members of parliament and mayors have been set on fire by protesters. One ruling party MP was killed during the protest. Now pressure is on President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to resign after his brother's resignation has come in.
We have the responsibility for to change this society, and
to its corrupted economic crisis, right? Then our side, we have to try our best, right? So we think we always trying to say the society so we can win through the fight, right? So as well as we invite all the students of the other countries also to join with us.
We're standing next to the Bere Lake near the Gangaram temple. This is generally a much loved tourism spot. You can see how there are swans which people use for boating, etc. But as we go closer in, as Divin gives you a zoomed in image, you will be seeing burnt buses which have been pushed into the lake. Burnt buses, burnt cars, all of that happened on 9th of May, Monday, when Rajapakse had resigned. Right now, we'll also show you a public bus which has been burned down. We can see how glasses have been shattered, all the seats have been burnt in, and you can now see how military personnel are standing guard here. This is the scenario that we're seeing across Sri Lanka right now. We're seeing that curfew, which was there till the 10th of May, has now been extended till the 12th of May. You can see how the remainings of the broken glasses, all of it, are still lying raw here. You can see how this bus, which is a private bus, has been completely charred, and for days together we've been seeing similar kind of violent situations going here. And now the Sri Lankan government has ordered that officials can open fire at those people who are involved in damaging public and private property. So that is a huge step that has come forward. And apart from that, we've seen today early morning Gotabaya Rajapakse taking to social media and requesting the people of Sri Lanka to stand united and help the government get through this political, social and economic crisis that is going on. From food, fuel, medicine, everything is high, and many of them are in shortage, which is a huge concern. With camera person Divyan from Sri Lanka, this is Akshay Nath for India Today. At Golface area, just in front of the old Parliament building, we're seeing youngsters of the state of Colombo raising slogans against the current government and demanding that President Gotabaya Rajapakse resigns and moves away from the government. And they have been putting up banners like these which says, let's expel the government, let's change the system. And we are seeing here the Inter-University Students Federation team protesting here for the last 33 days. The demand is very simple. They don't want the current government. They want a change in system. They want the current scenario to modify and give them a better future. Can you tell us what your demands are, what you want right now from these protests?
Actually, we are just demanding our stolen money back because we are now hopeless in our future, especially as a students and as a youth. We are demanding to leave President Gotabaya Rajapakse our country and give our safe country back to youth.
Students here who have been assembled for the last 33 days, they're saying that they have lost belief on the Rajapakses, and right now the only way forward for them is to fight and get their right. Until then, they will continue their protest. With camera person Divyan from Sri Lanka, this is Akshay Nath for India Today.
All right, coming up right after a short break on the other side, a big India Today exclusive here, a revelation in the Gyanvapi mosque case. Mosque videographer speaks to India Today, revealing quite a lot. Stay with us.
NASA beamed doctors into the middle of the International Space Station while they were physically on Earth. This might seem like a scene from a sci-fi movie, but this technology now exists. NASA tried this new method to ensure medical help is provided to people in adverse situations. This is being called the first holoportation handshake from Earth in space. So what is holoportation and how does it work? According to NASA, it is a capture technology that allows high-quality 3D models of people to be reconstructed, compressed and transmitted live anywhere in real time. When these images are combined with mixed reality displays such as HoloLens, it allows users to see, hear and interact with remote participants in 3D. The technology gives a feeling as if the person is right in front of you. NASA says that the technology could be highly effective in deep space where communication lag is a major problem due to the immense distance between Earth and other objects. Using the Microsoft HoloLens Kinect camera with custom software, NASA flight surgeon Dr. Joseph Schmid and their teams were holoported. They interacted with astronaut Thomas Pesquet in a two-way conversation. Holoportation is not new. It has been in use since at least 2016 by Microsoft. But this was the first use in such an extreme and remote environment as space.
Oh, sorry.
इस वक्त की सबसे बड़ी खबर आ रही है उत्तर प्रदेश से। यूपी में दंगाइयों की संपत्ति पर चल रहा है बाबा का बुलडोजर। इसी के साथ बुलडोजर बाबा का इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शन डेमोलिशन ड्राइव वायरल हो चुका है।
Presented by Berger Easy Clean. No dog, no dhabba, only beautiful walls.
Sorry.
इस वक्त की सबसे बड़ी खबर आ रही है उत्तर प्रदेश से। यूपी में दंगाइयों की संपत्ति पर चल रहा है बाबा का बुलडोजर। इसी के साथ बुलडोजर बाबा का इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शन डेमोलिशन ड्राइव वायरल हो चुका है।
A very good afternoon. You're watching India Today with me, Nabila Jamal, taking you through the top news. First, the headlines. Supreme Court stays all cases and proceedings in sedition cases, asks the centre states not to file fresh FIRs until the colonial era law is reviewed. Big revelation in the Gyanvapi mosque cases. Videographer speaks to India Today, says lotus symbol, gongs, rows of flowers, all seen on mosque wall. India Today accesses CCTV footage of the moment when RPG was launched at police headquarters in Mohali. Pak manufactured grenade used in this blast. India Today's language war news break gets bigger. Superstar Mahesh Babu says Bollywood can't afford him and says that he does not want to waste time doing Hindi films. Government sources hint at malign India toolkit by Pfizer Moderna like global pharma lobby. Say those denied entry into lucrative Indian vaccine market plotted WHO report to target India. Sri Lanka on the edge after days of violence and arson. Shoot on-site order to quell unrest. India Today reports from Ground Zero.
We're seeing youngsters of the state of Colombo raising slogans against the current government and demanding that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigns.
A big revelation in the Gyanvapi Mosque Kashi Temple case as Varanasi court now hears the matter on conducting a survey of the mosque complex. India Today has now spoken to the videographer who actually saw what is at that disputed site. The videographer speaking exclusively to India Today, has in fact revealed that he saw some Hindu imagery and symbols on that mosque wall. The videographer says that Lord Brahma's lotus flower, gongs, bells can all be seen on that mosque wall. India Today has also accessed some exclusive images that shows Shiva's Nandi, the bull, and the row of flowers right aligned within that mosque. There's been a big showdown on the survey of Gyanvapi Mosque with the mosque panel blocking attempts of the court-appointed committee to, in fact, videograph inside that complex, citing the Places of Worship Act 1991. The mosque panel alleges that the commissioner is biased and also have been, of course, batting for the Public Places of Worship Act 1991, which says any religious places post-independence must retain its structure.
ज्ञानवापी परिसर में बने श्रृंगार गौरी स्थल को लेकर लगातार कोर्ट की तरफ से सुनवाई चल रही है। आखिर सर्वे के दिन क्या हुआ, अंदर वो क्या क्या चीज़ें थीं जो सर्वे टीम को दिखाई पड़ी, इस पर ज़्यादा जानकारी देने के लिए हमारे साथ इस वक्त जो मौजूद हैं वो विभाष दुबे हैं। ये वही वीडियोग्राफर हैं जो उस दिन सर्वे के दौरान अंदर मौजूद थे जहां पर मस्जिद के अंदर जाने से रोका गया। विभाष, आपका बहुत स्वागत है। विभाष, सबसे पहले तो मुझे बताइए कि कहानी की शुरुआत कहाँ से होती है?
स्टार्टिंग में जब एंटर किया तो लगा कि यार सब कुछ अच्छा है, लेकिन कुछ देर बाद जब दोनों पक्ष, हिंदू पक्ष, मुस्लिम पक्ष के जो भी लोग थे, वादी प्रतिवादी, वो सब इकट्ठा होना शुरू किया तो थोड़ा सा माहौल जो है लगा कि घमाघमी का हो सकता है। गणेश शर्मा जो थे वो शिलापट पे जो चीज़ें बनी हुई थी, जो श्रृंखलाएँ बनी हुई थी, जो माला की लड़ियाँ बनी हुई थी,
तोरण द्वार के, ऐसा महसूस होता था जैसे तोरण द्वार पे जो चीज़ें कटिंग बनी होती है वो सारी चीज़ें वहाँ दिख रही थी। इवन यही नहीं, जो शिलापट वहाँ रखे गए थे उसके नीचे वाले भाग में भी कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी समझ में आई कि वहाँ पे भी कुछ बना हुआ है।
शिलापट किसका, मस्जिद के एरिया में या श्रृंगार गौरी के?
श्रृंगार गौरी वाले एरिया में।
क्या दिखा आपको?
उसमें जब नीचे झांक के देख रहे हैं तो वहाँ पे भी कमल बने दिख रहे हैं, कमल बने हैं। बाकी सारे मतलब वो सारी चीजें दिख रही हैं जो एक हिंदू सभ्यता में यूज होता है।
ब्रह्मा जी का
हाँ, जो चिन्ह दिखाई देते हैं, जो जनरली ज्यादातर हिंदू धर्म में इस्तेमाल किए जाते हैं।
क्या क्या देखा? कमल आपने देखा, उसके अलावा?
कमल देखा और फूलों की लड़ियां देखी जो फूल ऐसे बने होते हैं, और ठीक सामने वाली दीवार पे अंदर की तरफ घंटा भी टंगा हुआ है जो तराश के बनाया गया है, जो पूरी तरह से तराश के बनाया गया हुआ है। उसकी चैन दिख रही है, पूरी चैन लटक रही है, फिर नीचे घंटा बना हुआ दिख रहा है, फिर उसके बगल कलाकृतियां बनी हुई हैं जो ये महसूस होती हैं या जो लगती हैं कि हाँ हिंदू संस्कृति से जुड़ी हुई चीज।
घंटा किस तरफ? श्रृंगार गौरी स्थल की तरफ है या मस्जिद की तरफ है?
मस्जिद की दीवार पे,
मतलब जहाँ पे
पश्चिम वाली दीवार पे,
जहाँ एंट्री है, जहाँ नहीं है?
नहीं, जहाँ एंट्री नहीं है। वो किसी शरारती तत्व द्वारा बनाया गया चीज नहीं दिखता है, ये तो साफ समझ में आता है। कोई कलाकार बनाया है ये दिखता है, उसमें कलाकारी दिखती है। ऐसा नहीं कि कोई गया और खुरेज के बना दिया तो आप मान लो कि नहीं, उसमें कलाकृति दिखती है।
All right, now we've heard those revelations coming in from the videographer who says he's seen extensive symbols connecting to the Hindu religion. Let me cut across to Gaurav Sawant, who's been tracking those developments coming in from the Gyanvapi mosque hearing. Gaurav, you know, the court in Uttar Pradesh had initiated a survey to try and investigate what was the religious significance for Hindus within that Gyanvapi mosque. And after much resistance, it seems like a videographer has managed to get some of those images that really show some crucial evidence. There shows several symbols that are quite symbolic and sentimental to the Hindus. And from what we see here, those images now will become huge evidence in case while the court hears this matter.
So it is for the court to interpret, but what did the videographers see? India Today gets you exclusive images of what was shot by the videographer. And what does the videographer say? Take a look at these images. A very clear swastika sign. A swastika is a very holy Hindu symbol. What do you also see? Nandi the bull. Bhagwan Shiv's ride Nandi the bull. There you see the bell, the flowers. Now bell, gong, rows of flowers on this wall. What does this indicate? And then this is for interpretation to be done by courts of law and for learned people. But as far as the Hindu paksha, the Hindu side is concerned, their claim has always been that here was a temple. That temple was demolished on the instructions of the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, and a mosque was constructed on top of a temple. That's their contention, and they want unhindered access to pray here at this temple. So a hooded Sheshnag of Lord Vishnu. These are, and none of this, as the videographer told India Today's Samarth Srivastav, none of this was done in a hurry. These appear to have been carved centuries ago, a long time ago. Now it's for the court to interpret what this means and whether Hindus should get unhindered access to this place to worship 365 days a year.
Right. You know, Gaurav, what we do know is that there were several years ago, even Hindus were worshipping alongside those regions. In fact, that you highlighted, these images that you see here, Hindus were extensively carrying out pujas and prayers along that area, those areas, which has those Hindu religious symbols. But at one point, it was locked up. At whose behest was it locked up? Why were Hindus denied to carry out worship along those areas beside the mosque itself? Samarth Srivastava probably to give us an understanding on that. Samarth, give us a little bit of an insight into the history of this Gyanvapi mosque, which is aligned with the temple as well. One part of the mosque has extensive Hindu religious symbols, and the other side is a mosque. We do know that people were praying alongside. You had the Hindus praying by the Hindu side. You had the Muslims praying at the mosque. But at one point, they shut off doors for Hindus to worship on that in that region. What really happened?
Actually, I want to tell you that this issue is not new. The conflict is on since years, because when you see about the Nandi phase, it was with the mosque part, because the Nandi's phase always, whenever you see in entire India, wherever there is Nandi in particular temple, he is obviously faced towards one of the Jyotirlings or the Shivling. And the same was the case in that particular area where Gyan Vapi was present. Because Nandi was faced towards the side of mosque, and that is what historians and various religious leaders kept on saying, that this is the perfect example of saying that there is a Jyotirling in that particular area. Though it's a topic of discussion, but what is concrete is the survey work which was on by the court, and I am present at the local court where shortly hearing will start in that particular matter.
All right, so we're looking forward to see how the hearing is conducted and what the court would observe on that. But stay with us, Samarth. We have Ratan Sharda, who's an RSS ideologue, joining us on the phone line for more on that. Mr. Sharda, here is the court that's all set to hear the Gyan Vapi Mosque case. We're looking at revelations coming in from the videographer that shows images of large-scale Hindu symbols that are aligned on the wall right behind the mosque. This is a telling story. We know that there were Hindus that were carrying out worship along that region, but at one point they were cordoned off and that area was itself closed away. What is your plea as this matters in court?
See, I do not know why there is surprise element in what has been found in the mosque, because this particular mosque being destroyed by Aurangzeb is historical evidence from the Islamic sources itself. Like the other person was talking about Nandi facing the mosque, which means that there was a Shivling inside, because Nandi always faces the Shivling. And even any child will see the photograph of the mosque, will find the structure below is typically Hindu, and on the top there is very artificially put up dome which has no relation to the actual mosque. This is the scenario all over India. So I don't think there should be any element of surprise when you find lotus or any other gods, etc. If you go to the basement, you will find many more such evidences. Point is, in 1992, there is worship going on outside the mosque, which has been stopped now, and women want that right to worship that Shringar Gauri and Ganpati and other gods, and it has been done so far. So issue is whether Muslim community will like to cooperate and see to it that these small ill wills can be removed and they can live happily, or they want to create friction which will keep like a thorn in the flesh for Hindus when they look at that particular mosque, which was clearly the original temple.
Right.
So I'm not really surprised. We are just creating artificial friction where none exists. It is not even a Muslim-Hindu question, because it is an issue of invaders who actually created this problem. Why should we be identifying our Muslims with those invaders?
You know, Mr. Sharda, this, as you say, there is no surprise element, but nonetheless, there was much resistance to carry out the survey itself. And from the images that we see here, these images are from the outside of the mosque, which is visible to public eye. It was just cordoned off by the mosque committee. But at this point, it seems like they're forced to reveal what's inside. In fact, Gaurav has highlighted all those religious symbols, Hindu religious symbols that are aligned all over the mosque. Gaurav, at this point, Mr. Sharda says there's really nothing surprising to it.
Mr. Sharda, what is the prayer of the Hindu Paksh, and is it restricted, in your appreciation, sir, just to the Gyan Vapi Mosque, or is it Mathura, Kashi, after Ayodhya? Is it your prayer that there should be a Divya Bhavya temple even here, first at Kashi and then at Mathura, sir?
See, as you know, I think it is Gaurav who is speaking. I can't see. I'm on phone.
Yes, that's him.
If you see, the Hindu community is very awakened now. They feel that they have been shortchanged by all the historians, all the governments, and that most sacred sites have been taken over, and with no recourse to law by this Places of Worship Act. That time government has really sealed the fate of so many temples which are so sacred to Hindus, which have been sealed off for Hindus. So any Hindu will stand up, will go to the court, you can't stop it. If you see, these are not organized movements, these are small groups, individuals are going to the courts. And I think that shows that Hindus are awakened now. They don't want to be treated like this, not as second-class citizens where their own place of worship they can't own up. And they have been told that everything is hunky-dory. All this so-called Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb, where only one person is supposed to sacrifice their rights for the good of the society, and every other person can take laws into their own hands.
Sir, does that indicate, if I may, Ratan Sharda ji, does that indicate that the Places of Worship Act needs to be re-looked at, and perhaps Parliament needs to bring a new act?
Surely. I would be very happy if that is looked into. See, ultimately, these are civilizational issues. There has to be Truth and Reconciliation Commission where all these historical evidences, all these issues are brought up faced very upfront, honestly and brutally, so that there can be reconciliation. There will be reconciliation around the world between communities where they've been persecuted, they have been pillaged like Native Americans or blacks, and even a fight between the France and British. They have resolved their problems, are facing the truth. We don't want to face the truth. We want to put mandate on cancerous wounds that our civilization has faced. That is the problem. To deny the Holocaust of Hindus, to deny the atrocities on Hindus, saying that Aurangzeb bada acha tha, topi sil ke ghar chalata tha, this kind of myth has to go. We can't treat myths as history and we can't treat history as myths.
But does it remain restricted to Ayodhya, Mathura and Kashi, or Mathura and Kashi after Ayodhya, or does this need to be more widespread, sir?
If you look at the original demand of the Hindus when Ram Mandir movement started, they said these three sacred temples, if they are handed over to Hindus peacefully, happily, they will reconcile to it and there will be no disputes because there is an issue of goodwill. But somehow the Maulanas and Maulvis and the extremist elements who were instigated by Marxist historians, the so-called eminent historians who produced all the wrong evidence to stop the actual discussion of the matter, now we are in a situation where Hindus feel shortchanged, and that's exactly what is happening. When 80% population is not given any right in the name of some laws, and we are all given false history in the name of history, then definitely there will be some reaction, some kind of response where the society which is felt that they have not got justice, they have not been listened to, they have not been actually, that persecution is not taken seriously, that Holocaust is treated shabbily, then naturally somebody or other will keep on raising demand.
Right. Gaurav, of course, what we know is that right now at this moment, the court is going to be hearing this matter. It appears those images that you described to us that has large-scale Hindu religious symbols on that wall right behind the mosque will now be crucial evidence in court. But how will the court really progress with this case, considering, like you mentioned, there is the Places of Worship Act of 1991 that really clearly states that any religious structure after independence must retain its shape at this point. It's going to be interesting. India Today continues to keep the spotlight on this matter. But in fact, our channel has also spoken to a bunch of petitioners in this case. Vishnu Shankar Jain, who spoke to us. Let's have a listen what he had to say.
The foundation of this argument is that no new structure has been constructed to make this mosque. There was already a pre-existing Hindu temple, and which has been converted, which has been given a shape of the present disputed structure. No new structure has been created. And to buttress that argument, to prove that point, we can find the goddess Ma Shringar Gauri on the western side of the disputed structure. We can find Lord Ganesh on the western side of the disputed structure. And the entire western wall of the disputed structure is the wall on which the present tomb is standing. So all these arguments will be advanced further. But prima facie, what survey we have done of all the surroundings of the mosque, it shows clinchingly that no new structure has been created, and on a pre-existing structure, a shape of a mosque has been given.
All right, well, we heard the petitioner speaking on this case. We are looking at the hearing that's just begun in court. I'm going to cut across to Samarth Srivastava. Of course, Gaurav Sawant remains with us. Gaurav, the hearing has just begun. Samarth, who's right there at court, is tracking those developments. And it's going to be very interesting to see how the court will take this entire matter forward, considering it's a sentimental issue. We're talking about the Hindus and the Muslims and their religious places of worship.
So, as far as the court is concerned, court will strictly go as per evidence on ground. Court does not deal with sentiments. But let me take this to Samarth Srivastav with us on the broadcast. Samarth, what next in court? Was the videography completely peaceful? Is another phase likely to happen? What next in court, Samarth?
See, Gaurav, there are two important points which may be heard today in the court, because number one is the role of Advocate Commissioner. The Muslim side kept on saying that Advocate Commissioner is partial towards one political party or towards one particular side. Obviously, he was hinting towards the Hindu side. Though Hindu side is claiming that Advocate Commissioner has remained impartial, and this is what Advocate Commissioner has also given in written and has also said orally to the judge, that I have remained impartial, but this is the final call by the local court. Number two, the another important thing which could be heard today is the date of survey. Apart from that, as Muslim side has also objected, like the Hindu side has said that they have to enter inside the mosque, they have to break the locks to enter inside that particular tehkana, to which the Muslim side objected yesterday. And today is the day when court will hear that objection, whether they'll allow the Hindu side to enter inside the mosque or not. Another thing to be noted here in this particular case, Gaurav, is that both the sides have agreed to the fact that the local court or the judge should remain present during the survey. This is something accepted by the Muslim side and Hindu side as well. And after that, the judge of that particular local court yesterday said that if there could be a possibility like that, this may happen, where a judge could also be present in the survey time when it will take place in the premises of Gyanvapi and Shringar Gauri Sthal. So this is going to happen, but today is a crucial day for the Advocate Commissioner, whether he'll stay or some new face will come in. Number two, it is the date of survey. What will be the date of survey? This will also be decided in the hearing today, Gaurav.
All right. Well, here's some big breaking news coming in at this point. The hearing on Gyanvapi Mosque survey resumes. The Varanasi court now to decide on a new date for mosque complex survey. The mosque survey was blocked over the weekend as the Muslim side protested, quoting the Public Places of Worship Act 1991, which does not allow for videography or even for that matter to touch places of worship, anything that stood post-independence. Here we're looking at the court now that's just resumed hearing on the Gyanvapi Mosque controversy. The survey that has just been carried out, a videography that was taken, that took place, shows some really incriminating visuals that really shows several symbols connected to the Hindu religion aligned on that wall right behind the mosque. The hearing has begun. Now the court to decide on a new date for the mosque complex survey. The survey has to be carried out extensively. In fact, there has been much resistance from the Muslim committee there who's managing that mosque to carry out a survey inside the mosque premises, to carry out videography inside the mosque premises. And now the court, while it hears the matter, will likely decide on the next date of this survey that should ideally be carried out. Gaurav, we know that there's been much resistance to carry out videography inside the mosque complex. They've been citing several laws and resisting videography at all inside the mosque premises. At this point, the court, of course, wanting to know